We're live. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our second day of our Amplify conference. We got a new speaker here, Jeff Roy, that's going to join us. He's going to be speaking about humanizing the digital experience. My name is Jordan. I'm an account executive at Trufla. I will just introduce Jeff really quick here, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of housekeeping if you weren't with us yesterday. On the platform on your right-hand side, there is a question and answer box as well as a chat feature there. You guys can feel free to enter questions or comments whenever you'd like. I'll hold them until the end of the session and I'll go over those with Jeff and we'll get all your questions answered. As well as there is a polling feature. So during Jeff's presentation, there may be a pop-up on your screen prompting you to answer some questions. So please participate if you can. But yeah, without further ado, Jeff, he's the CEO of Excalibur Insurance. He's an innovator, he's a speaker, but he actually has a special video to introduce himself. So I am going to pass it right over to Jeff.
Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, this is my first virtual webinar, so I'm going to give you a little quick video for those who don't know about myself and Excalibur, and I'm just going to cut it short. So if for some reason the video doesn't work perfectly, don't worry, it's only going to go on for a few minutes, okay? Here we go.
In 1918, Sergeant Victor Roy made it back to Huron County from the war safe, but not exactly sound. His lungs had been burnt out by mustard gas. Yep, mustard. In gas form, it's awful stuff. Though as a condiment, a hands-down winner over ketchup. Victor is granted a parcel of farmland for his service defending our country and gets down to the business of farming. It's not long before he notices his fellow farmers struggling to get capital to grow. And so he does the natural thing. He starts a bank. Actually, a credit union. Problem solved? Not by a cow's teat. As the farms of Huron County prospered, Victor knew that a farmer now had more to lose than ever. So the war hero turned farmer turned financial helper became Victor the Protector. And the insurance business would run through 3 generations of Victor's family, including Victor's grandson, Jeff.
Probably not the best picture you could have dug up. I think my mom cut my hair with a bowl.
Jeff was that kid who was always looking for ways to help people, with an exuberance that today might have been controlled by medication. You would think that joining the family business would seem like the next step, except for one minor problem. Jeff hated insurance.
Back in the 1990s, I remember pen and paper, typewriters. My dad had 3 brand new computers sitting in the box.
By the mid-1990s, an insurance broker had about as much panache as a used car salesman.
Back then, it wasn't very sexy for a guy like me to be in insurance. What? I'm a university student with a full head of hair. I'm heading out the door with Van Halen tickets when all of a sudden the phone rings. It's my father. He's calling the only guy he knows to get himself out of a technical pickle.
And as he was helping his dad set up the dial-up, it hit him.
With technology and innovative thinking, there were 1,000 ways I could simplify insurance.
It was time for insurance to get a rethink, so Jeff assembled knights at his round table. 3 partners who could help him on his quest to breathe life into insurance. And the Excalibur Insurance Group was born. There was Una, Jeff's partner at home and at the office.
What really gets me up in the morning is people. Working with our team, working with clients, even Jeff. But really, if it doesn't have a heartbeat, I'm not interested.
And Paul, the logistics analytics guy.
Process, procedures, and numbers do excite me in ways that could be illegal in some countries.
And of course, Ken. He's not a chatty Cathy, but he'll tell you.
Without implementation, ideas stay ideas. Talk is cheap. I get stuff done.
4 different personalities with the same purpose. No, it wasn't to sell insurance like a monkey cranking an organ. Anyone with a heartbeat and a license could do that.
Instead of pumping out policies, we became laser focused on making insurance easier to understand, compare, customize, and buy.
There was Excalibur University to answer questions before they were asked through videos and blogs, sprinkling a little humor on various topics because insurance is too important to be boring. Rate Reducer, an online rate comparison tool for home and auto insurance, letting people compare 10 of the top insurance companies on their tablet, phone, or computer screens. They push the envelope again with Aiden, self-learning artificial intelligence that works 24/7 to answer online questions for people who need instant information. InstaShield that takes client freedom to the next level, letting customers quote, tailor, buy, and print their policy online in minutes, with an Excalibur Defender standing by for advice whenever they're needed.
All that tech was cool.
All right, I'm going to slow down the video at that point. If you want to watch it, feel free to go to our YouTube channel. Hopefully it worked out well, but just want to kind of show, where we came from. We're a traditional insurance broker that has adapted digital. And I hear a lot of people going, yeah, those digital brokers, like digital is a new thing. Well, the internet used to be a fad till it wasn't. And digital is just an extension of what's going on. So today I'm going to talk to you about building the customer experience. And one of the things I want to start off with is just anybody. Normally, when I'm doing this live, I would ask the audience, what's the average attention span of a human right now? The answer is 8 seconds. And by the way, a goldfish has an attention span of 9 seconds. And I would guess over the last 3 or 4 months during COVID, our attention span has dropped. So my point is it's getting harder and harder to get people's attention in this world full of media, full of news, fake news. How do you make sure your brokerage stands out in this world? Very difficult. You have half a second to get somebody's attention. So yeah, the stakes have never been this high as brokerage. So I just want to share with you a few things today as we go through our journey. I'm coming at you from Clinton, Ontario. Feel free to Google it. We're a small town in Huron County. It's a beautiful 25-degree day here. And it's looking like it's going to be a nice weekend. So, and here's a little survey. I'm just curious where you're from, A. I got a few friends on here from the US, so they always make fun of how I say A, but feel free to submit on the survey throughout the webinar. I'm going to ask you a few questions. So one I start off with, and one thing before we get going is I want to make sure anybody that's in the Twitter universe, my extension is JRoy5, so feel free to reach out to me, follow me, and feel free if you see anything that motivates you, excites you, or you want to share, make sure you hashtag amplify brokers. So that way we can get the word out there. This webinar, and thanks to my good friend Sharif, is about brokers helping brokers. And I'll be the first to admit, Excalibur has not figured everything out. We have so much to learn and do, but by sharing and caring and helping each other, we'll get better together. So that kind of starts with my first slide. You see the beach balls here? And you don't have to be a Karch Cry or professional volleyball player to sit there and volley a ball in the air by yourself and keep it up for a while. But what if somebody threw 10 balls at you? How can you keep those in the air? As entrepreneurs, we literally have 10 or 15 balls in the air, and it's getting harder and harder for us to keep all the balls going. And COVID has only increased that. So that's where it's important to have friends in a bigger community to help keep the balls in the air. None of us can solve the problems that got us to where we are by ourselves. We need friends. We need everybody else. We need a bigger community. And normally what I would do here in a setting is I would have everybody do speed dating and go out and meet somebody new. And if there's 500 people at the conference, I would create 500 new or 250 new connections at that conference with people. And you never know when that connection will change the game or change your life. And connecting right now is more difficult. It's more like Zoom. You have to almost Zoom around and attend Zoom meetings with the COVID, but it's still important to connect, and there's lots of ways to do it. Today, I want to talk about our big thing is creating your own amusement park. And for some people, their amusement park has been closed due to COVID, but I want everybody to get the concept and the idea. As brokers, we control our amusement park. So I have a nice picture here showing our insurance companies on here in Canada. We pick the rides or the products that go in this amusement park. And we have to pick wisely. We have to pick partners that will help work with us, do the things we want to do, provide the products, provide the experience, the technology. We also pick the vendors. And if you see the castle, I've got a lot of my vendors and relationships in there. And you also have to pick your people and the culture. You know, all this technology, all these relationships mean nothing unless you have an outstanding team to make it happen. And today I'm going to talk about the power of 3 key things. Number one, I'm going to talk about the mindset to shift your business digitally. Some people are well on the journey. Other people are just starting. And I'm going to talk about number 2, share some of the things that Excalibur has done to become digital and how we take a stranger into a raving fan. I'm going to actually give you my blueprint and share with what we're doing with everybody. And the last thing, I'm going to talk about a few trends. Okay, is everybody keen for that? We ready to rock? The path to purchase, I found this slide interesting. I was at the CZO meeting in 2018, 2019, and Google rep was there. And it talks about when somebody goes to buy insurance, it's a 9-day process. So first of all, 9 days before, and people start thinking about buying a house or a car, what do? Well, it used to be 70%. I think it's probably close to 90% of people start their journey online. So how is your brokerage or agency showing up online right now? One of my favorite lines is, the best place to hide a dead body, second page of Google. And a lot of people's websites don't show up in search. They don't have a social media campaign going on. People just aren't aware of the brokerage or agency, and they're not getting their voice out there. And as I talked about before, it's really hard to get people's attention. So what are you doing as an agency or broker to make sure when people start thinking about insurance and doing research, what have you created? What's your experience look like? 3 days before the purchase, people start doing heavy duty research. So they might Google auto insurance or, what do I need for home insurance? What kind of blogs have you written, and what kind of content experience have you built to get people into your amusement park and keep them going through and staying on your page for an extended period of time? Can you offer real online quoting, give people a price? Do you have different things connected? How's your mobile experience? Can people do all this on their cell phone or their smartphone versus doing it on desktop? Then finally, 2 days before, people purchase. So when somebody's got a quote, do you have a lead management system to follow up quickly? Can you respond in 5 minutes? One of my jokes I talk about is, if you don't respond to a client in 5 minutes, it becomes a cold call. They have no idea who the heck you are. Do you have a video proposal that if somebody doesn't buy, that you can send out to the person? How many touch points do you have to get them to convert? And then if you do get them sold, do you use digital signatures? Do you make it easy to convert? Do you have an onboarding process? These are all things we need to think about as we build our brokerage and agency client journey. So I just want to start off and get everybody thinking about what we have to be doing and improving. In today's reality, a service is table stakes. We have a lot of people that says, what makes your brokerage different? Well, I give good service. Well, nobody cares about good service. What does that really mean? My dad's bigger than your dad. We need to basically have tangible things that are better. Mobile connectivity is key. You need to make sure you have a mobile experience, but also that mobile loads quickly. You have to basically respond quickly to inquiries, and you need to be providing service 24/7. Just showing up 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock isn't going to cut it good enough. People are in a 24/7 world. And you have to make sure everything is proactive and personalized and customized to the client. All key points. And what drives consumer preference? I was in Beyond Best in Class, and Bill Morris, he ingrained a lot of these points into our head. People are looking for 6 main things from a broker. They want a personal connection. So they want to have an actual relationship with you. They want confidence that they're getting the advice and the products, and that you can actually deliver what you say you're going to deliver. They want respect. They want to show that you respect them as a person. So showing up on time, getting to know them and their family, and doing business the way they want to do business. They want to make things easy. They want to be able to one click and they're done. If you can buy a book on Amazon in 5 seconds, you better make sure your experience is that quick. And they're looking for, believe it or not, innovation. They look around to see other industries innovate, and they're comparing you to other industries. So you have to make sure as a broker, you're doing that. And the last thing, collaboration. They want to work with you. So these are some key guiding principles that you need to think about as a broker and agent when you're building out your experience. This is a famous line from Field of Dreams. I actually watched it about 2 months ago. The famous line, if you build it, they will come. I want people to think about, if you don't build it, they may leave. So you have a lot of clients right now that are still there, but if you don't enhance your experience, and what once was a wow experience becomes a core experience over time, you're going to lose your clients. And just building a great website or a great experience is not enough. And I use this example, and I know during the COVID world, it's maybe not as great, but if you build an incredible restaurant, but it's put in the middle of the Amazon forest where nobody can find it, how good is that restaurant going to do if there's no traffic? Well, if you have the best looking rater in the world and you can quote bind an issue and it kicks ass, but nobody finds it, it's not going to do any good. So building it just isn't enough in this world. We have to make sure we drive traffic. So what I'm going to talk to is the mindset to build your amusement park is my first topic. And I think one of the biggest things we have to look at is we're in a war of distribution right now. We have insurtechs that want to come in and eat your lunch. Lemonade hasn't elevated into Canada yet, but that could happen tomorrow. People are scared of Google and Amazon coming in and eating your lunch with all their data. And we also have our insurance companies, direct arms, Sonnet, Bel Air Direct. They're super highly competitive. So I think the biggest thing is we have to start thinking a different game. And the biggest distance on the insurance battlefield right now, just like golf, is the 6 inches between your ears. Your thoughts become your actions. So we as brokers have to think and take things to a different level and start thinking a different game. And it used to be Notre Dame said, "Play like a champion today." We need to think like a champion today and act like that. So I'm going to cover 4 major areas. You can do this too. You will fail before you win. You need to learn in new places. And we're not in the insurance business. We're in the experience business. Number 1, if you want this, you can do this too. I'm a prime example. I'm a 49-year-old hockey goaltender, and I had been hit in the head with the puck a lot of times. A lot of people jokingly say, "I guess that's why you got into insurance, Jeff. You've been hit with a puck and you didn't have any other career options." But no, seriously, I live in a town of 3,200 people, and I have every excuse in the world at my age to mail it in and ride out my career and not change my brokerage. I have never been more excited to lead my team and get involved to change insurance and leave it better than we found it. So my point here is, as a leader, you set the tone for your organization. If you're running and adapting at a 4, your people are adapting at a 2. If you're operating at a 9, they're operating at a 7. So it's up to you to bring your A game every day into work, set the tone for what you want to do, and make things happen. The Wright brothers, they didn't exactly fly the first time. They had a number of crashes, but they believed they could do it. Now, I want to point out, belief is only 35% of the battle. You can believe all you want. And the example I give, I can put my yoga pants on, go sit on the end of the dock or my shorts and start meditating and believe the secret and great things are going to come into the world if I believe it. Now, I believe some of that stuff may be true, but I'm a big believer on, I call it MA, massive action. You got to go out there and make things happen. You can't get through the turnstile of life with somebody else's push. You got to go out and do the heavy lifting. And I know one thing I do know is it's a Friday. It's beautiful. Everybody has every excuse not to show up today for this webinar. You're here. So the one thing I do know is you are in the top 5% of brokers and company people attending. That is friggin' awesome. Now, the big thing I want to make sure, and when I speak at a conference, is people don't get what I call airport amnesia. And what that is you show up, you get all jacked up, you hear a lot of great ideas, and then you may write stuff down. And then after the webinar is over, the seminar or the conference is over, you tuck them in a bag, you go to the bar, you get drunk, you forget everything, you get back to your office, and you're all excited and nothing happens. So I always make a point of it when I go to a conference or I'm on a webinar, I write ideas down. I try and think of one thing I can do and start it today. So hopefully I inspire you to do a few things if you're not doing them, and you take some massive action on it. So remember MA. I think this is the most ironic point. We're instead of risking anything new, let's play it safe by continuing our slow decline into obsolescence. We're in the business to manage risk, but nobody ever wants to take any. Isn't that ironic? So many people are slow. They don't want to fail. And, we have to make sure we shift that paradigm in our industry. Number 2, you're going to fail before you win. And, basically I look at 2 things. Fear, has 2 meanings: forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. And, also fear stands for first attempt in learning. So basically you look at different ways of dealing with your fear. So as soon as you face fear and get over the initial change, great things are going to come to you. This is our philosophy and mantra, and I preach this all the time: launch, fail, learn, fix. A lot of people are waiting for that perfect time to launch something. 2 years goes by, 3 years goes by, and they miss their opportunity. If they could have just launched something and then learned from it, fixed it, and moved on and made a couple different versions of it, how much further can you go? So we have to make sure that we create a culture where it's okay to fail. Insurance, nobody ever seems to want to fail, but we got to keep it real and cool. And again, we're all going to F up. I'll try not to swear too much on this, but everybody makes mistakes. And, fail can also stand for first attempt in learning. So basically, hey, we learned, as long as you make a mistake and you didn't violate any of your values, and nobody was hurt, you didn't have a coverage issue with the client or anything like that, you can fix things. And I like Reid Hoffman. I'm not sure how many people here are Masters of Scale fans, but he says it the best. If you're not embarrassed by your first version of your product, you've launched too late. Imperfect is perfect. So that talks about the whole idea is perfection is the enemy of progress. So watch that you don't spend so much time trying to get something out the door that you wait and wait and wait until it's perfect, and then nothing ever happens. So I want to warn brokers and agents against that. I share this and I'll quickly go over this for my American friends. It's quite funny because 80% of the US people know who Bob and Doug McKenzie are, but they don't know who our Prime Minister is. But they do know that our Prime Minister has really nice hair. So my point here is I teach people how to speak Canadian by just putting A on the end of everything. So I'm a great agent A, I'm a great broker A. But the whole point of A is it stands for experiments help. So feel free to experiment with your business and try some new things. That's when you get to the promised land. That's when digital is going to kick in. And one of the things I point out, it's really hard to read the label when you're in the bottle. I know Tony Shea at Zappos talks about the client experience, but my problem as an insurance broker or agent, if you're from the US, is my insurance lizard brain just gets in the way all the time. I get talking about price. I start using terms that aren't great. And before I know it, I've lost it. And the client, I've lost perspective. So make sure you have that mind of a child and look at things freshly. And you don't get so ingrained in insurance ease and language that you don't think creatively to try and change things. Number 3, innovation is a commitment to learn in new places. I can't tell you where the next $1 million idea is going to come from. I can't tell you where the idea that's going to save our business or take us to the next level is going to come. But I can tell you that my chances of me finding it are a lot greater because I've set up a really big network and I'm part of different groups. Some of the ones here I'll show you. We have Tech Canada. I'm a group, I meet with CEOs once a month in different industries. So I'm learning from their industries and applying things to insurance. And I've realized that every business is identically the same, minus a few different things. And those things have been very helpful. I was in the Ultimate Millionaire Mastermind group with Michael McLean, amazing group. He's unfortunately wound that down. I'm in the group of 8 brokers in Ontario. I was part of Orbit Canada, which is wound down. I'm part of Agency Intelligence, and I've just joined Canadian Broker Network and part of a couple other networks I haven't even put on here. But being part of all these different groups, you meet a lot of people, and again, you put a problem out in the world, people are going to be able to solve them. But if you don't have a network, it's really hard to go to your network and get help. So really important to network and get connected with the best people you can. My friend Chris Paradiso writes this magazine, The Last Agent Standing, and I'm fortunate enough to contribute an article. And I just actually wrote an article I spent about 20 hours on called The Content Experience. And Chris produces this and gets some of the top agents to share what they're doing. And you can go to Paradiso Presents and get your copy. His new version's coming out the next month. All the money from this goes to charity. It's an incredible charity to help special needs children and adults. And Chris has done a phenomenal job. So again, another example of resource you can get. I am part of, this is again, the 5 a.m. club. Here's some of my friends from the US that we would get on Twitter at 5 o'clock and motivate each other. And like the Canadian geese picture over here, and I had to make sure I shared that with my American friends, yes, they fly in formation and they're able to get save some energy by working together. But it's when they honk at each other and encourage each other, that's part of the trip. So who's the people honking in your world, encouraging you to get better when things are down and you're having a tough time? Who's those people that pick you back up? It's important to surround yourself because you become the 6 people you hang out with the most. Choose wisely. And I was part of the Canadian Digital Broker Alliance, and I've got a bunch of digital friends. Luckily, Aviva put us together a number of years ago, and a number of us have stayed friends, and we still meet. That's how I met the great Sharif. And basically, they're all people pushing the envelope. Adam Mitchell, Lance Miller, just some phenomenal people. Gavin Lobo, some phenomenal people that are very digitally excited, trying to push the envelope and just sharing ideas together. So, we are all better together. So I want to make sure everybody realizes that today. And the power of the human cloud. And I think there's a company called TaskRabbit in the US. And what they did is people would go on there and they're good at a skill and they would sell it out. So I might say, hey, I'm great at cutting a lawn. And people will hire you on TaskRabbit. Well, what happened is all those people on TaskRabbit started sharing videos with each other so they could pick up more skills. So I might come in to be really good at cutting lawns. Within 6 months, I may be good at being a handy person and be able to do 10 more tasks. That's where they share. And that's what insurance, where if we share with each other, we can learn, leap, repeat. This is how we can get better. So brokers work together and work a number of the issues we'll talk about later. We can really get better at it. So in the time of change, learners inherit the earth while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. I think this is great. That just shows you how important learning is moving forward. And I just challenge people. I don't know how many people here are Seth Godin fans, but he wrote a book called The Purple Cow, and it talked about how to make your agency or your business stand out. And a purple cow in Huron County is when I drive down the road and I see 100 cows out grazing, I never see a purple cow. If I see a purple cow, it grabs my attention. What can you do as an agent or broker to start grabbing people's attention? The last point I want to talk about is we're in the experience business. And you can see here a little cartoon. It might be hard to read, but it basically says, we're good. We gave them a low score on the customer survey. And they're like, they were good, but they're comparing them to Amazon. They weren't Amazon good. So remember, everybody's comparing us to other industries. So just don't look at other brokers, look at other industries to see how good we are. And one of the things I talk about is we're not in the insurance business. We're in the experience business. And that's a key point. When you start looking at yourself in the experience business, it changes how you think and act. And just quickly over here, here's our MarTech or InsurTech stack of a number of the software programs we use. At one point, we had over 50 programs. So to provide this experience is not easy, and these programs don't talk together, and that's something we're trying to improve. One of the things I think it's important for the experience business is to figure out your Simon Sinek why. And at Excalibur, we exist to champion people. How do we do that? We go above and beyond to make people's day. What do? We're in the personal lines, home and auto business, commercial and the insurance business. We offer the coverages to protect somebody's quality of life should a claim occur. So a lot of people are stuck in the insurance business. I challenge you to figure out what your why is for your organization. And by doing that, you're going to serve a greater good, and it's going to build a better culture. What does relationship mean? It means the cumulative impact of touch points over time. So every single touch point of your business, your staff, your technology is either getting a thumbs up from your clients or a thumbs down. They're either ambassadors or assassins. So it's important that every single touch point is perfect. You can't afford to be weak. Reducing friction is important. So if somebody calls into your brokerage or agency, you need to be able to resolve that in the first call. And right now it's a challenge because the APIs aren't there for the companies. We can't click a button easily to do stuff. We can't look at payments. There's a lot of challenges, and that plumbing is missing. That is one of the number one things, and I'll talk about that later, that we have to fix as an industry so we can reduce friction to a level we've never done before. And to reduce friction, it's all about people, capital, and technology. So if you have enough money, you can hire the people and technology to do it. If your people work really hard, they can reduce friction. There's different ways of doing it, but currently software is completely eating the world right now with everybody in the cloud. So we got to make sure that we're using it to the best of our ability. People want an omni-channel. So they want choice how they deal with you. They might want to fax you. Fax is not as prevalent, but they might want to text, email, mobile app, chatbot, video, conference call. You need to make sure that you offer that many options to your clients. If you want to get 100% of the clients, you need 100% of the ways. And single channel, people want to start one channel and finish it. And one of the struggles we have is finishing stuff online for auto and home insurance is not super easy because of the complexity. Unfortunately, that is an advantage for brokers because they still need advice. So we got to be careful. If we do make it too easy, we're cutting our own throats. However, some clients want to buy that way and they don't want advice. So we need to balance that. But people like to start on one channel and finish it. And customers want it all. I want to quickly touch on these points. I won't spend a lot of time, but I look at this formula, and the customer experience is equal to process times technology times solutions times people times brand. And notice I have the multiplication sign in there. If you get 0 in any one of these things, your sum equation is 0. So you have to be good or above average in all these 5 areas. So I want to talk about a few things customers want. Number one, they want it simple and easy. They don't want 50 million steps. They don't want to have to read a whole bunch of things. They want it simple and easy to do. Number two, they want to be empowered. So they want to be able to do things on their time schedule. If it's 11:30 at night and they're in their pajamas and they need an auto ID card because their slip expired in their car, they need to be able to produce that. And whether it's on their mobile app or whether it's emailing from the portal, they want to be able to be enabled to get that kind of stuff done. They want transparency. So we call it rate reducer, but we offer right online. If people want to rate, they can blow their brains out. They may not be doing it correctly. And that's the value our brokerage adds because they may have missed a coverage. They may not understand something. We provide that advice and connect with them, but they want to be transparent. They want proof that they're with a brokerage that basically has been doing well with social proof. And they want things that are quick. So you want to make sure things are fast. The days of waiting for 2 weeks to get a quote, those days are long gone. Now, commercial, there is certain complex risks right now, especially realty, that you are waiting longer. But most of the personal line stuff needs to be done quick lickety split. And personas or personal. They want they want things to be made personal to them and speak directly to their market. Gone are the days of shooting a shotgun and catering to everybody. You need to kind of get your message a little more dialed in on personas, and you need more of a shotgun approach. All right, so that's the first part of the presentation, just trying to get in the mindset. Hope everybody's pumped. I hope everybody's still with us. Right now, any questions you have, we're capturing them, and I'll make sure I talk to them after. I'm going to share with you our blueprint for the Excalibur experience. And everybody goes, Jeff, why are you sharing it? I'm like, because it's so hard to execute this at a level, and it keeps evolving, and we haven't nailed it down 100%. We have a lot of work to do. So I'm just being 100% honest and transparent. We're trying to get better ourselves, and I'll share with you. But we look at how do we move a stranger to a visitor, to a lead, to a customer, to a promoter. And there's 4 columns of behaviors, how you attract somebody, convert, close, and delight. So that kind of shows you, and each of those behaviors has an activity or a technology associated with it. So I took it a step further and broke it down this way. And this is kind of our MarTech stack. And I'll spend a few minutes just explaining it to give you an example. I could literally spend 45 minutes on this, just talking about this. But when I started the stranger stage, I look at when we try and attract somebody, here's some of the key metrics or KPIs we look at. We look at our word ranking, our domain authority, how much it costs per click to get somebody to click on our ads. You know, how many followers do we have? How many website visits do we get? What is our website page authority? What's our organic traffic? Those are all things that we look at and monitor that on a weekly basis that mean a lot to us. And then we could also add a few other things like engagement on social media, etc. And then here's the tasks we do to be able to move the lever on those metrics. We use SEO, we do blogs, social media, pay-per-click AdWords, display ads, paid social. We have a referral program. We have a video. We use video. We use email marketing. So there's a number of things we do. I could go on and on with it, but that kind of gives you an example of what we're doing at Excalibur. And the next column, if you look at it, if we're trying to go from a visitor to a lead, there's the behaviors we do in the KPIs. So unfortunately, with a short period of time, I can't go through this in detail, but I will touch on each of these verticals in a little more detail during my presentation today. But I want to point out, I want the extra step to look at the technology we use to do those tasks below here. So when you actually go back and forth between these, you can actually layer up, hey, we're trying to improve Google Analytics. What do we do to do that? Basically, you know, we're trying to work on our SEO and our blog. So we've got everything linked up. So, but feel free to use this as a guide to build your own version. But I will point on the bottom is we need a broker data lake. And if we can get all the data from all these columns into one database, we can use machine learning and big data to analyze it and start predicting which clients we want to write and start looking at our spend better. So what's one thing that we're working on right now at Excalibur is we're trying to figure out how to reduce all these vendors into a smaller number and get all this data. And if we can use all this data, it's going to change the game. So I'm going to start off with how do we move strangers to visitors? And there's some of the things we do as we talked about. I'm going to talk a little bit about social media just briefly. I'm not sure if we have a slide coming up. Yeah. How many people here have a formal social media strategy? Just answer the poll for me quickly. I'm really curious how many people are using it. We've been at social media pretty heavy since about 2016. You know, my thoughts were early days, it's going to be easier to build a following and raving fans, and the cost is going to escalate. We have realized that it's a lot more difficult to get people to follow you now on the different media channels. We use currently Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Those are our main ones. I think currently on Facebook, we have about 9,500 followers or 9,530. We have approximately 740 people on Instagram, 2,800 people on Twitter, 82 or 83 people following us on YouTube. And I haven't checked LinkedIn. There's over a couple hundred people. So we've got a decent following. Our brokerage has 6,500 to 6,600 clients. So some of our social media channels surpass all the clients we have. So that's good. So we've done a few things over time. And I've given an example here of the 12 days of Christmas. We used to run that and we'd spend $3,000 giving away prizes over 12 days. We let the client pick the prize and they would enter every day and pick a prize, and we would draw a winner every day. And then when they entered, we got an option to get their email. We used to just do prizes on social media and never get emails. But emails are worth a lot more than as people clicking on stuff on social media. We found that we had 1,200 people enter our 12 days of Christmas, and we picked 65% of the people's emails up. So we can actually put them into our funnel, we can cookie them, and we can actually have display ads popping up over a period of time to them. And more importantly, they're on our e-blast, so we can actually communicate with them. What we did during COVID, I didn't show an example here. We did one called Takeout Tuesday on our social media, where we gave $100 away a week for people that commented on a restaurant that was open for takeout and the restaurant name and their favorite dish there if they wanted to share that. And we probably had about 5,000 to 6,000 people engaging every week on it. So we spent $600, and unfortunately Facebook wouldn't allow us to boost it, but we had 5,000 to 6,000 touches a week. And more importantly, we helped restaurants get some traffic. We gave $100 to that restaurant for the winner. We helped, some of the restaurants in a tough time get some exposure. So there's a couple examples of Melvin and 12 Days of Christmas. One of the things, if you look at your posts, this is from a couple years back. I haven't done this collectively to update it, but in 2017, you can see here we had 700 posts. We had 6,200 interactions and likes and reaction or comments, and we had 13,000 likes and reactions. So we've got a fairly engaging social media. I know in social media for insurance, it's really super hard. People want to put stuff about, hey, how to fix your wood stove. Here's what you do. Unfortunately, people don't give a crap about wood stoves that much. It's important to blend it in with your mix. And I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk that said it best in his book, Jab, Jab, Right Hook, is, have 3 or 4 fun things and then throw some stuff in after that. You have to basically have that formula and cadence, and every brokerage and agency has to figure that out. One of the things I'll talk about for organic and page rank is page speed. Make sure that you're checking the Google page speed regularly. And I do realize that page speed load times have been bleak over COVID because of all the stress on the internet and how much friction there's been. But it's important to check that. And we've had some problems, honestly, with our Facebook or our website page was loading really poorly. We had to move it again and make some changes, and our website guy was on top of it. We had load times. And again, if you get load times over 5 seconds, that's not good. You want to try and get to 3.5 to 4 seconds is optimal. So make sure that your website is not loading like a bag of hammers, and you're checking that, because if you have a slow load time, your page rank will go down. And there's an example of just some of the information they give you, the performance, what you can do, what you can fix, and they'll actually give you some ideas how to fix it. One of the things we had to do, and you can see different versions, is we had to skinny down our mobile site because there's certain widgets, and our shopper approved widget had a second and a half, and we could not fix that. So we had to take the widget out, put some graphics in there, and try and keep them updated and put a link. That's an example of developing stuff that we had to do. So some key tasks: make sure your load time is good, and then content links. I think it's important to make sure basically you have links for SEO from your website to other websites. That's really important. So if you're sponsoring a soccer team, make sure you get that link. Just mirror the stuff that you're doing in the real world on the online world, and make sure you get those links to your website. The more links you have, the more credible Google looks at you, and the better your page rank goes. So those are important. And we do a lot of, in terms of AdWords, we do a lot of long tail keywords for buying pay-per-click advertising. We are currently getting about $5 to $6 per click, and we're converting about 40 to 45%. So our cost per lead is about $10 to $12 right now online, and that didn't get there overnight. We used to be at $30, and $30 online is not good. We'll talk about that in a second. Also for building content, Marcus Sheraton, good guy. He owned a pool company. If you haven't heard of him, make sure you get this book, They Ask, You Answer. He built his pool company by writing all the questions down that people asked about pools. He wrote incredible blogs, and he completely dominated that industry during 2008 when most pool companies were going bankrupt. So as a broker or an agent, it's important. One of the questions your consumers and clients are asking, how well have you answered them on your website? And then more importantly, what kind of content experience you have. I think this quote says it best. Ignoring content experience is like making a beautiful cake and then locking it in a hot car. When you neglect the experience, what could have been a delicious opportunity turns into a sticky disaster. So how many people throw up a blog or a post and that's it? There's no links to it. There's no experience. You need to actually think about when people are consuming things, what are their questions they're asking? And this is one of the things. I attended Uberflip last year in Toronto, and I was the only broker agent there out of 800 people. And I really got into the world of marketing and really could see the weaknesses of what we were doing. And we're working away at trying to fix it. And some of the problems you run into is random acts of content. How many people go, oh my God, this is a big issue, better write in a blog about that. And there may be you don't traffic, if they get to your page, what is that blog going to do? Where's that going to go? How many people have homeless content where they've got a blog out there and it doesn't link to anything? There's a lot of things in the insurance industry that people are doing and they don't know they're doing, and they maybe started doing something. Well, somebody told me I need to write a 1,200 word blog and I need to do it for SEO, but they haven't thought about the experience part. So I want to get everybody to think in terms of a digital world, how to humanize it, but more importantly, how to break that experience for people, because people are humans. They want to read stuff and get involved and go on a journey. So what kind of journey is your brokerage or agency taking people on? This is going to show up in Chris Paradio's magazine in my article, but where are you parachuting your client? Are they going into a shark's mouth? Terrible experience. They're going to be eaten alive, done. Are they going to a desert island with all the one-hit wonders where great article and blog can't get anywhere? Or are you going to go to a resort where there's lots to do? So once they read the first article, they're like, man, I like this. And then magically they've read my mind. The next blog comes up. Maybe there's a webinar. Maybe there's a video. That's how you have to start thinking about building those experiences and moving people down your funnel. Jay Baer from Convince and Convert has a really good process where he takes you through 7 steps to figure out your framework. And basically you have to document, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Determine the one thing that makes you different. And then you have to start looking at what metrics you want to analyze to tell if you're successful. And then step 4, identify your audiences. Who are you going after? And he suggests 5 key audiences at one time. And then you have to basically answer the questions. So he calls it the 5x5 method, which I'll show you in a second. And then you basically have to create the content. There's things called atomizing, which I'll talk about what you can do to fix it. And then after that, get that out to the world. If you create the best content, they say content is king, but if you don't get it out, nobody sees it. What does not get seen nor heard counts for nothing. And this kind of breaks down this 5x5 process where you have the 5 buyer personas, you have the 5 stages of this funnel, and then you have questions at each stage. If you go through that for your personas and you start building that out, you're going to build a really good content experience for your insurance clients. And this is an example of a sheet you can use to do that. So I thought it was really good. I just wanted to share it with you. I'm sure your social media teams are all over this, but we're trying to improve this at Excalibur, and we're just in the process of working through this and using it to improve our website. And atomization, this is a good example where if you do a really heavy blog, a lot of times you can break some of the graphics and pieces into bite-sized bits that you can put into your social media, you can put into Instagram. Maybe you can turn that blog and hire somebody at Fiverr to shoot a video to make an animated version. So once you create one thing and you spend the money, the cost to move it into a different world is very, very cheap. We use My Insurance videos. We have some of them on our sites. They're simple, easy. They're factual questions. That we find it very good. Plus, we do our own videos also. We use a company called Click Coverage where you can, from Forge, and I'm happy to send links for any of this if you're interested. You can actually go on the house, click on a button, and learn about coverages for insurance. So it gives people kind of an interactive experience. And we've set up our own Excalibur University, our blog area, where we try and educate our clients, and we're trying to keep improving that experience over time to make sure it's consumable. We did set up a special COVID page where we try to put a bunch of useful information on it. That's probably our latest thing that we've added in. So, okay, now I'm going to talk about people know who you are. They visited your site. How the heck do we get them from a visitor to a lead? And I'm going to talk about some options about using forms, using landing page optimization, using social proof. These are all tools in your quiver that you can use to do it. And I want to point out it's really important to do a split test or A/B testing. A lot of times you think something's going to happen or some page will kick butt. We, for instance, tried 8 different pages when we decided to give clients the option to go back to forms. And we split test over 4 or 5 months. And we were amazed which page performed better. And our 2 winners were not the ones we would have thought would be the winners. So it's always important to test and learn. And an example back, we ran a test whether we wanted to use forms or use the online rater. 90% wanted the instant feedback. And so we've been predominantly using real-time, letting people get a rate and then calling them back. I do know Sharif and people like Adam Mitchell and Mitchell Wales, they use forms. They're very successful in forms. So I will point out that forms work very well. It depends how quickly you respond to your lead, but just keep that in mind. And, I think the one thing to look at is one thing I usually, when I'm doing it live, I do my rap. I don't know if people want to hear my rap today or not, but I talk about raw bass, DJ Easy Rock, customer service and pain. You got clients, and I always talk about people want a real-time quote, and they used to have that song called I Want to Rock right now. Well, I made my own little version from the consumer standpoint to the community. It kind of goes like this. I want to quote right now. I'm a broker. I came to get down. May not be internationally known, but my quotes are rock your microphone. Insurance gets stupid. I mean outrageous. Customer experience so contagious. Clients love me. Companies adore me. Even the ones who never saw me like the way I protect is my show. Reason why, man, I don't know. So let's go. Doo-doo. It takes two to make a deal go right. Doo-doo. Broker and client make it out of sight. Hey. So anyway, you get the gist of it. People want to quote right now. They don't want to wait for it. They want to get it done. So we got to make sure that's easy and quick. So that's what we've done. We use applied rate. We call it rate reducer, but we use their enterprise rater. They have an entry level rater that's fairly cheap, but we also have a mid level one that we bought, and then we also have one that's they have one called the Fortis engine that if you really want to geek out and program everything, you can completely crush it yourself. We decided we did not want to play in the programming game. So we brought the enterprise one. And the reason is we can actually set up a rater for every single program we have and track the results we get. So I just kind of show you some examples here. We let people obviously call us, send us an email or a form, or do a rate online. So there's an example of the choices we give consumers. And there's an example of our motorcycle page that goes into the rater. And we do have the instant quote and the detailed quote. Now, the instant quote is uses a few pieces of data from Applied. This is the basic information you have, and they fill it in, and they say it's about 80% accurate. We find a lot of people do that, and then they go into the detailed quote. So it's really tricky to follow that person, and it makes it more difficult if somebody gets a quote there and then goes to detailed. It kind of messes up our analytics a bit. And we find that people doing the easy quote just aren't as interested. So we've kind of discontinued doing that as much as we did. We still will offer that, but we found it has not been as good for us. We find the detailed one is a little bit better. So there's an example. They get a price on it and they click on their offer. And then that's when the magic happens. You know, we take them to a landing page after. So we're not sure how they came into our rater. They may not have been in the Excalibur page. So we'll tell them a little bit about Excalibur. We have a video you can look on YouTube, we believe, where our team talks about why Excalibur is different. I would definitely show you that today, but we don't have time. And then here's kind of the magic. Once a client completes the online form, the lead is sent. Now we're using Truthful and not Velocify. I did change all my slides. I'm not sure this one didn't get updated, so my apologies. And it goes into our leads management software. We also can download it into our AMS or in Canada BMS system using Easy Lead. So what we do is we can download that lead and get on the phone with the client, and they've done all the work, and then we just have to correct it. And as I said, the enterprise version allows us to give us multiple versions, which is cool. Aiden, artificial intelligent digital Excalibur navigators, or chatbot through Pro Navigator. Adam Mitchell and myself were approached by Joseph D'Souza maybe 2.5 years ago, and he wanted to set up a chatbot. So Adam and I got our chat logs, gave it to him, and it led to the creation of Pro Navigator. We've been using it for probably about 2 years right now, and it probably gets about 150 conversations a month. Kind of my rule of thumb, usually 1 to 2% out of 100. So 2 to 3 people for every 100 visits to your website will use your chatbot. So if you hardly have any traffic to your website, going into a chatbot isn't the way to go, but it's something to think about. And we're hoping to get our chatbot integrated in with our broker management system so clients can self-authenticate who they are, pull out auto ID cards, make changes. That's where I want to take things down the road. We're not there yet because of a thing called APIs, which I'll talk about later. That just shows some of the benefits of a chatbot. We did build Aiden into our story, so we had ask Aiden, so we'd have different questions on our social media. They would click on it. They could actually type into Aiden, and Aiden would answer it to them. And basically, Aiden works 24/7. She doesn't take any time off. Basically, she's always there. And every week, she's getting a bit smarter because as more questions come in, we can answer more things. And with a natural language processor, she's going to get more and more robust over time. And that's an example of how we put her right into our staff directory and our page. Now, we've just updated our page literally last week. Aiden is still there, and she is on the staff directory, but we did move it around a little bit. But we wanted to build Aiden into our story. And there's an example. We can do service. If you want to change a vehicle, you can send it. Now, that's in an email form, so don't get too excited that you don't do it in the chatbot and it's done. It has to go to a broker, and we have to manually do it. But hint, if we get APIs with our companies and our systems, we can do this in real time. We can do quotes. I was able to get Joseph to connect to Applied Systems Fortis engine, and a person can actually get a quote through the chatbot with the number, and you can also report a claim on the chatbot. I was able to get a project in place where we worked with Aviva, and we got audio quotes to work on Google, and we got Wawanista to get it to work on Amazon. Unfortunately, the Google quote thing has been broken, and I'm waiting for that to get fixed. So we have not really pushed it, but currently we can offer voice quotes. And if we had time today, I'd show you a video. There is an example on our YouTube channel of me demonstrating the voice quote, or our team doing it. There's some examples on it if you're interested, but things are going to go more voice in the future. That's going to be one of the trends that we're going to see. We do also use BrokerLift currently to do a few products where they can quote bind an issue. There is a vertical right now, and Apollo is also in that vertical. Jeff McCann did a great presentation yesterday where clients want simple, easy things where they can buy it when they want to buy it. You don't necessarily need broker intervention. We offer it, but we do reach out to clients and connect to make sure they didn't make a mistake. So that's another example of stuff we have. We do have a lead gate where we actually have our book. My wife and I wrote a book, 20 of our things you need to know to protect your assets. We thought we'd put a nice donkey in the front of it to try and make it fun. People can download that. We can get their email, put them on our list, and basically stay in touch with them. So, and in terms of reviews, I want to make sure everybody here is getting reviews, because people, when they go to get a quote from you, they're looking, hey, how big is their Facebook following? How many people are on the reviews? What do the reviews look like? People want to see social proof, and they don't want you to put your own reviews up there. People see through that stuff pretty easily. It used to work 5 years ago, but people want a verifiable source. So if we've got 400 or 500 reviews on Shopper Approved. We need to get some more on Google. There's some great ideas out there with Rocket Referrals, Podium, and Check It. All three of them have great texting solutions. I recommend you look into them. We're looking to Check It right now. We just haven't had time to implement. So there's an example of the reviews. An example of two, we did change our email signatures. I just have a brand new one we launched last week, but we give people the option to say whether they're happy or sad. And if they're happy, it takes them to the review. If they're sad, it takes us to a form they fill out that goes to our management team so we can respond. So that's something we did, worked very well. You can, I've seen a few people copy ours and it looks a lot like ours. In insurance, it's called R&D, which means rob and duplicate. So that we see quite a bit of that going on. So last part, we're going to talk about moving from a lead to close it, from a lead to a customer. We use Trufula as our lead management system. What we ran into, and again, I just want to ask quickly, people, how many people have a CRM or lead management software on the call today? We had a poor receptionist that when we started scaling digitally, it's first when you get 4 or 5 leads a day, it's not a big deal. But when you wake up in the Monday morning and you have 90 leads on your desktop and you have to divvy those out to your salespeople and waste an hour doing that, you can't afford to do that. So that's why you need a lead management software once you scale. And we're using Trufula. And as you can see, the response time on the left, the quicker you respond, the better your conversion rate is. So if you respond in a minute, you have a lot better chance of closing. You get down to an hour, you're down to 36%. So it's important to have a process and a lead management system to look after that. And what TrueLeads does, it assigns and tracks the leads. So as soon as the lead comes in, it goes and gives it to one of our salespeople. TrueLead measures the response time and the close ratio on it so we can track how they're doing. We have the option now. The automatic dialing is not live, but we'll have something hopefully positively in the future. But the person gets an email and a text immediately. And basically, we found that by using a lead management software, we've been able to get 25% more efficiency with our time. So very positive. There's an example of our flow. We would send the client 2 text messages, 3 emails, and make 5 phone calls. Now, we have changed our phone call cadence during COVID because we literally have too many leads and not enough ability to handle. So we've had to kind of fast track that a little bit. So. And here's just some things we use. We use sales script. We train all our staff on a script on what to say to the client. We use digital signatures. We have call recording for training purposes. And we could do audio binding. We found digital signatures are better, so we don't. And we do have video proposals set up, but we're currently not using them just strictly because of time. So there's an example just quickly of our digital PDF proposal we can send. So if we close a person on the phone, we don't need to send a proposal. But if we don't, we have the ability then to send them a proposal out, and hopefully they look at it and we can convert, and we have converted people with a proposal after the fact. So very positive. And there's Ellie Donahue is a coach at Agency Performance Partners in the US that we've hired to help with our account managers doing protection reviews and help our sales team. It's been a huge help. We've really taken our level up to the next level. So if you're looking for some coaching, I'm just going to recommend somebody to think about. So. There's the e-signatures. And then the last part, just strictly about setting up, how do you wow clients and keep them into your mousetrap or your world. We have a mobile app and a dashboard, and I just want to see how many people have mobile apps on the phone today in your agency. We also allow people to do changes through our website through forms, and they can do it through our chatbot. So we give people choice. There's our self-service web form. It's not for me to say you have to do it this way. We're giving people choice, but I believe over time, more of our people will use our mobile app and our portal, and less people will use the form once we get more functionality and we get it rolled out. So there's an example of our self-service on the mobile version. So this kind of gives you some examples. We do onboarding emails. So we have 4 emails that go over a period of time to onboard our new clients. We are trying to tweak the experience, but we try and get reviews from them if we don't have them. Pitch the mobile dashboard, make sure they're following our newsletter and they're aware of it, and also know about a referral program that we have here. So we want to make sure they're on board with Excalibur. And we also do handwritten thank you cards. We send a thank you card out to every client and basically handwritten thanking them. People actually do want to get lumpy mail. Even though I'm talking about the digital experience, it's still good to show up with something lumpy and tangible. And inside the card, we have a small card. They can actually do a handwritten card to one of their friends. And there's an example of our shock and awe kit. So we actually send a new business kit out to every client. We have a nice Excalibur Coolie cup. We have a little thing to put in the back of their phone. We have Excalibur gum with a few quotes on it, and just kind of showing our team and some information about us. So I won't get into detail. Unfortunately, we're running out of time here, but I think it's important you track your close ratio, your cost per lead, and be able to do this kind of math, because a lot of brokers right now are just trusting their gut. You need to figure out what a lead costs you. So if I'm paying $30 a lead, and my close ratio is 15%, you divide that out. I'm paying $200 for the lead. In this example, I'm bringing in 480 commission because I wrote both pieces of business. My return on investment is $1.09. So this is really important to make sure that you can track this as a broker. And that's why we set up the enterprise version of the Web Rater, so we can get the numbers and track every single marketing program and have an idea that if we put $1 in, we're going to make $1, we're going to make 80 cents. And then there's times we're going to lose money, but if you keep a client 8 or 9 years, then you have a chance to bring that back. So just a kind of overview of the numbers. We get about 800 to 1,000 leads coming in. We have currently 3 salespeople handling it. We need a 4th. We are looking through COVID to add to our team. We have 3 positions. It is challenging, but we're working hard. We quote about $15 million in premium. That can fluctuate either direction a little bit. And we try and write about 300,000 of new business. And our salespeople handle 6 to 10 leads per day. Unfortunately, some days it's 15, which is high. And our cost per lead can range from $10 to $30. Usually we're around the $10 per lead. And our closing ratio depends on the program. So that kind of gives you an overview of what we're doing. So hopefully that was helpful. I'm just going to talk quickly the last couple things. Insurance creates a $100 billion business that lives for 200 to 300 years, but the next insurance leaders will use bots, not brokers, and AI, not actuaries. And this is from the CEO of Lemonade said this. I believe that there's still a big future for brokers. What we do might be a little bit different. We'll have a technology to help us, but we have a very, very positive future ahead of us. And it'll be brokers that AI will not replace brokers, but brokers who use AI, machine learning, will replace those who don't. And that's where things are going. This gives you an example. All these companies don't own anything, but they're the biggest in their vertical. Uber, Airbnb, Facebook, Instagram, Netflix. But if you look at agents and brokers, we're the same way. We don't own any policies. So who's in a better position to disrupt than us? I'm pretty excited about that. So I think the devil's in the data. And if you're an AC/DC fan, dirty deeds done data cheap might be a way to look at it. So you have to become data broker shops moving forward. And here's our new mindset. We're a data-driven agent or broker in the experienced business, using people and technology to reduce friction and help people manage risk. I think that kind of explains our MO better than probably anything right now in one sentence. So I think it's important to look at, in a data world, there's no such thing as free lunch. As they say, if something online is free, you're not the customer, you're the product. So just be wary moving forward with company solutions and pushing your company out of your amusement park into theirs. If it's free and they're doing it for you, and again, there's some excellent company stuff. They've done a great job, the ones that have created stuff, but make sure that data is going to them, not to you. And that data is worth a lot of money. So I want to quickly ask here, how many people have a solution for going paperless right now? Please click on what you're using. There's different ways of going about it. But I want to make sure there's a couple of somebody told me that the paperless ship has sailed. I don't believe it's sailed, but it's left the harbor and you have to navigate where you want to go. And do you want to go to Data Island where you control the data and experience? Or do you want to end up in Free Lunch Bay where you have a great experience and your client's looked after, but you've lost some of the control long term? You have to decide as a broker or an agent, what kind of business do you want to run in the future? So give some thought to that. Our last part I want to talk about is the API, which stands for Application Program Interface. And as they say in the Guns N' Roses song or Cool Hand Luke, what we got here is failure to communicate. And that's really what's plaguing our industry right now is we can't send data from point A to point B because our companies are on legacy systems and our companies and vendors are needing to have a better dialogue to push through it. So I just want to point out a couple of things that are going on. I call pathway to broker connectivity. Historically, things have been done to brokers, not with them. And the broker has been a happy afterthought. I know the portals came out. I don't think any broker really sat through them. And we were told how great they were with no input from us. And if they had actually asked us, like Henry Ford, if they asked people what they wanted, they probably would have said, we want a faster horse when they really wanted a car. We could have went a different direction. I'm not going to dwell on the past because we've got great people doing great things. We're going to finally bust through that thing about, single entry, SEMC, multiple companies. And we've never really had a technology problem. We've had a communication and political problem. We have different people wanting to get a jump on technology, get an edge. We have people wanting to claim that they invented their solution was their idea. One of my favorite lines is, it's amazing what you can do when you don't care who gets the credit, and a rising tide floats all boats. And as an industry, we need to play for the name. And you can see my Excalibur guy in the front. It's got agents and brokers on the front. I got a bunch of the key players. We got to play for the industry in the front of our jersey, not the name in the back. That's how we're going to change this and make things better. And I just want to give you a quick update. I'm down to my last minute here, so sorry for going a bit over. But iBack Tech has done a great thing in hiring a new position and to get shit done. This person is going to make sure that companies and insurance vendors are going to start working on opening APIs and connecting using the DX model and making sure the data standards are the same, which is really exciting. We've been doing a lot of work with volunteers. We're going to get people working 24/7 getting this stuff done. IBO Tech is working on paperless, and currently we've got Economical, Gore, Intact, Aviva, Applied, Keo, and Trufula meeting with some brokers. So we're going to plan out what's the best way to go paperless. Is it putting, forcing people or basically telling them, or is it asking? We're going to talk about what's a good way to do it and how do we get numbers going through different ways. We're going to work through that and build some best practices. I sit in the CZO Initech committee. I'm also on the IBO Technology Committee and iBack Tech Committee. I donate a ton of time. I want to see this industry better than I found it. I want to make it better for everybody, not just us. I see some really positive stuff where everybody's communicating, and I've never seen movement and inertia like now. So it's exciting where we're going to go. So a couple things I'm going to leave you with. If the rate of innovation, if the rate of your internal innovation of your brokerage or agency exceeds the external rate, you're going to do well. So make sure you continue out innovate people. When the winds of change blow, some build walls, others build windmills. I want to point out that COVID hit. Some people are in some tough spots, but a lot of brokers are using this as a time to harness the winds and fix with rapid speed all the problems and all the exposures. That's what you need to do. So try and look at these changing winds of clients and consumers to move you forward and change. And at the end of the day, it's about building your amusement park. So I wish everybody well, building your brokerage agency amusement park. Here's my information, and I'll take some questions here. Sorry to rush through it, but it is the presentation usually a 75-minute, 90-minute, and it's just like your children. Which one do you throw out? I didn't want to throw any of this stuff out, so I wanted to kind of touch on some things. So, questions from anybody? Jordan, are you back on? Any questions at all? If you have any question, the question and answer, I can see it, so feel free to ask. Jordan, Tom, are you here? Okay, good. Any moving trends you have your eye on? Yeah, I think the biggest, good, Anthony, thanks for the question. The big trend is really data, is brokers taking their data, controlling it, and aggregating it together and actually turning it into a natural resource. Right now, I use the term data meal, but we do all the work and we bring the data to the surface, and then other people basically will use that data and sell it, monetize it. I want to make sure that we have the chance that brokers can have that data and share it and get better. And there's some really cool projects. I know there's a Be Atomic by Seth Zarumba that's going on right now. I'm very interested in what's going on there. Applied's doing some interesting stuff with PolicyWorks in India. I'm excited to see what happens with that. Can they build a better experience? I like what Jeff's doing with Apollo. So there's a couple of things that I think are good. I'm looking at a new phone system called Crew.io right now that I think is probably the best phone system I've seen. So there's a couple of things I thought would be cool. What was the name of your online trader? Ellie Donahue. Jason, thanks very much from Agency Performance Partners. If you want to send an email, I'm happy to click there's my information here if it's still there. Jason, send me an email. I'll hook you up for sure. All right. And you get the Excalibur discount for sure. Basil Crosby, do you feel that raters, vendors are actually slowing the movement to DX happening in some ways? It will take money in their pocket. That's a really tricky, dicey question, Basil. Good question. I have a lot of inside information. I have my own theories. I think everybody's trying to do the best job they can. So I'll start off with that. They're right now, the biggest problem is that companies are building rating APIs into the raters, but everybody's building them differently. So the vendors are charging a higher price because they're treating everything on a one-off. And I'll give you an analogy. I used to have a website where I was getting charged every page was a new page, as opposed to using the same theme for the page. So if we can get all the insurance companies to build standard APIs using the same standards, and that's what DX is all about with IBAC, and that's what they're pushing, and that's what all of the brokers associations, including Ontario Support, is getting the standardized APIs built, then they can, instead of getting charged one fee, they can divide that fee by 5 or 10 and get a reduction. So I think that'll help. The other problem is where we have data destruction, we call it, and we're investigating it right now, but we have certain vendors right now that the data, on the download, our data is missing. We're not sure what's happening. There's research going on at IBAC to identify what's going on, but we're losing some data. So when you go to rate somebody, it's like a leaky boat. You had 100% of your data, and then all of a sudden you only have 90%, and you have to go back to history to look it up. Well, that costs thousands of dollars, and if we can make sure that that data doesn't get destructed, that'll help it. So I believe the rating compared to vendors maybe have a 3 to 5 year shelf life, but they may still have some kind of functionality in the future. The other problem is our companies aren't getting the rating APIs opened enough. So until we get enough companies that scale to open up, we can't connect and do that. So Paul Nolte, what system are you using to track the internal data in Excel spreadsheets? So right now, good question, Paul. Good. Hey, great to have an American friend on here. We're using a lot of manual papers and sheets right now. I know some of my friends, I know Sharif's got a really good program, and so does Adam Mitchell. We're in the process of moving our world to Salesforce, and we're looking at doing some stuff with Truthful to have a better system. So we'll be moving away from spreadsheets, but a lot of stuff is manual, and that's one thing we've identified we need to fix. I think you mentioned, Sean Bryan, I think you mentioned blog posts and any additional tips on on engaging your customers on social media. Sean, I think the big thing is you just have to make sure you're a real person and try and have some fun. Don't make it all stodgy insurance stuff. Make sure your brand shines through. Highlight some of your staff. Make sure you put pictures of your staff, of you doing stuff in the community. Share some fun videos. Make it fun. And also some educational stuff too, right? You just have to find that mix. And again, by no means have we figured the magical mix out, but if you look back at our social media, what we've done over the last number of years, we plan our social media deck 60 to 90 days out. We have a team that reviews it. We try and do our best with the resources we have, and we actually have a budget set for our social media. I know a lot of people don't spend any money on their social media, and they wonder why there's only 400 followers. Put a budget into your social media, and don't be scared to spend a little bit of money, right? How do you continue to serve elderly clients who are not tech savvy? Great one, Colette. We're just working on that right now. We have people, we continue to offer people traditional phone. They can come into our office. And again, it's funny, there is a packet of elderly people that are super tech savvy on Facebook and email. It almost seems everybody's adopted to email. But if we have people that still want us to print the stuff out and get mail, I believe they should. We've had clients here for 45 years that are still alive and been with us. We'll do whatever it takes. So, at the end of the world, I'll end this presentation with, at the end of the day, technology is cool, but it's still a human to human world, H to H, and that's never going to end.
Hi, Jeff. Sorry for leaving you hanging there. I had
No problem.
technical difficulties.
No problem. I saw the questions, and I hope I didn't miss anything. But anyway,
Yeah,
thanks. I just want to thank everybody so much for attending. It was awesome. I know it's a Friday, and you could have been anywhere, and you could have bailed. So thank you so much, and I really appreciate the offer to present and share some of the Excalibur stuff to people from across Canada and the U.S.
Jeff, we do have a couple more questions if you have a minute
Sure.
still.
Yeah,
okay, so we had, do you know if Sizio is working with carriers to standardize download and eDoc descriptions? As we know, some carrier download descriptions are not friendly.
I believe so. I'm on the CISO Initech, and that was brought up and discussed. And Catherine and the team is on top of it. So yes, that'll be discussed. And also the paperless the initiative from IBO will cover that off. So we'll try and make sure that's cleaned up. Does that make sense?
Awesome. And last one here. I love your new business packages. Do you have any metrics on whether these packages have made an impact on retention numbers? If so, did your numbers increase from year 0 to 1? And do you send any custom packages out on renewal?
We haven't at this point sent anything out in renewal. We want to look at customer loyalty programs, and we believe the Salesforce platform Marketing Cloud will allow us to build a customized loyalty program. So if somebody's been with us for 5 years, 10 years, to figure something out to acknowledge that. The new business kits, I know we haven't stopped doing them. So unless we stop doing them, I couldn't give you a bang on metric. We probably run around 88 to 90% retention, which I know a lot of people are in the 90s, but we are bringing in quite a bit of digital business. So our retention is pretty good considering we have a traditional book and a digital shop, and we've improved it. Last year, we improved it 1%. Our account managers called 90% of our clients last year and engaged with them, and picking up the phone, doing things the old fashioned way, but still talking about the digital stuff was huge. So that was very successful. So I would suggest, never discount the power of a human to human thing, right?
Awesome. Well, I know we're a little bit over time, so I super appreciate everyone sticking on here. Jeff, my mic wasn't on before, but I was going to say, if anyone knows anyone that can give you a record label, that rap was great.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going back to the late 80s when I was in university. So anyway, I just like to make sure I know it's a lot that's like taking a sip out of a fire hose. So I could literally do a presentation on social media marketing by itself. I have a program I did how to build a kick-ass marketing program I did for North Carolina agents down there. There's different things I've done, and we're just kind of sharing what we're doing. And as I said, by no means do we have it figured out. And there's a lot of brokers and agents that are smarter and doing better things than we're doing. But I just want to point out that we're in a small town. I'm not exactly a spring chicken in the industry, but I'm still having fun and adapting. And I want to point out that it's all your mental attitude and your belief that you can do it. And anybody on this call can make things happen and change.
Awesome. Well, we actually have our last presentation shortly here in less than an hour. So at 11 a.m., Jeff Roy is going to be back. We have Jeff McCann and Sharif Jamil joining us as well. Pete Tessier is going to be hosting the panel. So we hope to see you guys soon if you need a coffee break or a lunch break. But yeah, we hope to see you guys at 11 a.m. here.
Great,
Thank you again.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Stay safe and healthy.